Since I think 10 weeks you are not having Sunday feast in the temple. And anyway, I mean, with the mercy of Zoom, we are able to get to see each other and get to communicate. So at a time like this, naturally, it creates a lot of anxiety, a lot of distress. But at the same time, this situation is also helping us. It's also helping us because the other day in Ujjain, one person came to see me, and he was telling me that he felt that this was the best time. This 70 days were the best time in his life, because during this time he was constantly with the family, which never happened before. And this value of being together with the family, with the intimacy, is very much needed. And the other thing is that the devotees, of course, take it in a Krishna conscious way. As devotees, we try to take advantage of every situation. And the way to take advantage of the situation, every situation, is in every situation, whether it is distressful or joyful, we should always remember Krishna. At the time of distress and difficulties, we should consider that this is happening due to my own karmic reactions. And when good things happen, we should consider that it is due to Krishna's mercy. This is how we actually need to see Krishna under every situation. Krishna consciousness means to always remember Krishna and never forget him. Just one little mistake, that for a moment we forgot Krishna, we turned our face away from Krishna, and as a result of that, we fell into this material nature. And in this material nature, we are subjected to a situation where we are reaping the harvest of our own actions. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha. In this material nature, everything is happening due to guna and karma. Material nature has three modes or gunas, and we have our karma, the action-reaction principle. And since I think 10 weeks you are not having Sunday feast in the temple. And anyway, I mean, with the mercy of Zoom, we are able to get to see each other and get to communicate. So at a time like this, naturally, it creates a lot of anxiety, a lot of distress. But at the same time, this situation is also helping us. It's also helping us because the other day in Ujjain, one person came to see me, And he was telling me that he felt that this was the best time. This 70 days were the best time in his life, because during this time he was constantly with the family, which never happened before. And this value of being together with the family, with the intimacy, is very much needed. And the other thing is that the devotees, of course, take it in a Krishna conscious way. As devotees, we try to take advantage of every situation. And the way to take advantage of the situation, every situation, is in every situation, whether it is distressful or joyful, we should always remember Krishna. At the time of distress and difficulties, we should consider that this is happening due to my own karmic reactions. And when good things happen, we should consider that it is due to Krishna's mercy. This is how we actually need to see Krishna under every situation. Krishna consciousness means to always remember Krishna and never forget him. Just one little mistake, that for a moment we forgot Krishna, we turned our face away from Krishna, and as a result of that, we fell into this material nature. And in this material nature, we are subjected to a situation where we are reaping the harvest of our own actions. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha. In this material nature, everything is happening due to guna and karma. Material nature has three modes or gunas, and we have our karma, the action-reaction principle. And that's what is happening to us. We cannot blame anybody for what happens to us. And we fail in this trap of Maya's, Krishna's illusory energy. This illusory energy, first of all, made us forget about our actual identity and covered us over with a false identity or false ego, ahankar. This false ego is the material element. It's also a material element, very subtle. It actually covers our original identity and creates a mistaken identity, false identity. Like our original identity is that we all are servants of Krishna. But Maya, due to illusory energy of the Lord, forgetting that we are servants of Krishna, we are trying to become the Lord and Master of this material nature. And it has been pointed out that it's natural. Natural in the sense, this material nature is Krishna's external energy. And we are from Krishna's internal energy. So the moment we look away from Krishna, we just see Krishna's external energy, Maya. And Maya is inferior, aparayam itastannang. But prakriting vidhi me param, jiva bhutang mahabaho jajedang dharjate jagat. The Jiva Bhutang, the living entities, are coming from Krishna's internal potency, superior para prakriti, superior energy. So since we are from Krishna's superior energy, as soon as we come across Krishna's inferior energy, although we are very minute and this external energy is extremely powerful, Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Durattaya. Durattaya is insurmountable. It's impossible to become free from this influence of Maya. But we develop this tendency to lord over. That's why we, in this material nature, it's natural that we are trying to exploit this material nature for our sense gratification. We think that this entire nature is for us individually, for us to dominate. And that's what Nikotastho Maya Tare Japotiya Dhare. Japotiya Dhare means very tightly embraces him. And that is how it all begins. The moment we look away from Krishna, we forget that our business is to become a servant of Krishna. But we try to lord over. And that gives us the first covering of false ego. Then comes the second covering of intelligence, and we plan how we are going to enjoy this material nature. That is the purpose of intelligence. And then through mind, the consciousness is constantly flowing towards the material direction. So this is how, with these three subtle elements, false ego, intelligence, and mind, we get trapped into this material nature by getting a body made of these subtle elements, subtle body. And then, according to the shape of our subtle body, Maya gives us material nature, Mother Nature, gives us a gross body made of 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And this is how we become imprisoned with these 2 bodies, gross body and subtle body. Sometimes the question comes up, how do I know that I have a subtle body? What is the shape and form of the subtle body? My answer to that is, when you fall asleep and you dream, at that time, your gross body is unconscious. But when you are dreaming, are you there? And do you have a body? You are seeing that a tiger is about to pounce on you and eat you. Now, in what plane it is happening? There's the subtle body. In our dream, we experience the subtle body. And when you are awake, then both the gross and subtle bodies are conscious. In Uddhav Gita, Krishna explained it very nicely. And Krishna pointed out that how just as a dream is, when we are dreaming, we consider the dream to be real. Similarly, this material nature, our condition in this material nature, is also like a dream. The only difference is, when we dream, it is individually experienced. When I dream, only I can experience the dream. The person sitting next to me will not be able to experience that dream. But this dream is a collective dream, but it's a dream. But this dream has been arranged by Krishna through the guna and karma. Material nature has three modes, and we act in those three modes or in the mixed mode. And as a result of that, we get the results. Urdham gachanti shaktashtha. The activities in the mode of goodness makes us elevate to the higher situations. Urdham gachanti. Madhye tishtati rajasha. The mode of passion makes us remain in the middle, that is, in the earth planet, in the bhumandal, bhuloka, this planetary system. And jaganna gunavrittistha adho gachanti tamasa. Being influenced by very disgusting mode of ignorance, one slides down to the lower state of existence, either in the lower planetary systems or in the lower species of life, animals, birds, reptiles, insects, trees, plants. So this is how everything is happening in this material nature by Krishna's divine arrangements. Krishna made the arrangement. Again, sometimes the question arises, why did Krishna do that? Krishna did that because we wanted it. Krishna never said that you go there. Krishna said, okay, fine. He tried to persuade us, don't go, don't go. But we insisted. In that respect, Srila Prabhupada gave an example. One day his little son was crying and his mother was trying to make him understand. He was crying because he wanted to touch the moving table fan. And mother said, no, don't do that. But he kept on insisting, no, I want to touch it. I want to touch it. Then when Prabhupada got to know that, Prabhupada, okay. So he switched off the fan. And when the speed came down, Prabhupada said, touch it. And he touched it and he got hurt and he started to cry. Prabhupada said, what happened? Touch it again. He said, no, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to touch it. So our situation is somewhat like this. We say, we want to go there, we want to go there. Krishna said, fine. And he made the arrangement. Fine, go there, try to enjoy. See how wonderfully you enjoy there without me. And then we get hurt. And then finally we say, no, I don't want to. I don't want to remain here. I want to suffer here. But the illusory energy is so strong. We on our own cannot possibly understand the effect of the illusory energy. Therefore, we need someone to tell us. So, in that respect also, Prabhupada mentioned, our condition is somewhat like a traveler who lost his way in the desert. And desert is very hot, there is no water. And he is dying of thirst. And from time to time he sees a mirage and he thinks that there is some water. And he runs. No matter how much he runs after the mirage, he'll never be able to quench his thirst. And that's what we are doing. Life after life, we are running after a mirage with an expectation to get some to quench our thirst for enjoyment. And finally, there comes somebody. Somebody comes and tells us, the water, that's a mirage. There's no water, it's hot sand. You'll never be able to quench your thirst there. It's just an illusory impression of water. It makes you feel that there is water, but there is no water. Real water is there. And that is the merciful Vaishnava. He gives us the message of the spiritual world, where there is real water and we can quench your thirst to the heart content. And that's what Prabhupada actually told me also. Once Prabhupada told me that for so many lifetimes we have been trying to enjoy, and you can see that we're still not satisfied. Just offer this life to Krishna and see what happens. And then he explained what this material nature is like. He very elaborately explained this material nature, the illusory aspect of this material nature. And he explained how sex desire is the shackles with which everyone is tied down to the material nature. Therefore, this material nature is called Maithunagara, a prison house where everyone is tied down with sex desire. And that's why to make spiritual progress, one has to overcome sex desire. Prabhupada very clearly mentioned for householders also, it is for the sake of procreation, not to indulge in that enjoyment that it provides. So that is the real knowledge. And in Uddhav Gita also, Krishna made that point very clearly. And so these are the real wisdom that Krishna is giving us, Vedic literatures are giving us, and paving our way back to the spiritual world. This is not a place for enjoyment. This is a place for suffering. So when suffering comes, we should not become perturbed. We should rather recognize that this is the real nature of this material nature. This is the natural state of this material nature. We are here to suffer. And Vedas are giving very, very clear information about that. How this material nature is a place of suffering and how this body is an instrument for receiving pain. We are in a world of suffering with a body which is meant to receive pain. So what can we expect here through this body? Therefore, when suffering comes, don't become perturbed. Like, rather depend upon Krishna. Make the arrangements to become Krishna conscious. Krishna conscious means the word itself is indicating what it means. Krishna conscious. We have consciousness. The soul is conscious. And the consciousness is the sign of existence. We are because we are conscious. When you are not conscious, we don't know whether we are or whether we are not. Now, this consciousness can be either projected towards the material nature, as I mentioned earlier. The moment we project our consciousness towards the material direction, then our suffering condition begins. On the other hand, when we project our consciousness towards Krishna, then the life of joy, life of real enjoyment begins. That is where the real enjoyment is. Krishna is Anandamaya. Krishna is full of joy. Therefore, just by being connected to Krishna, we can enjoy. That's the real enjoyment. Like from the generator, from the powerhouse, electricity is flowing. When we touch the electricity, what do we get? We get the electric current. So similarly, when we touch or become connected to the source of all joy, then what do we get? We get real joy. Anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnamrita shwadanam. Not only we experience joy, but we become submerged in an ocean of joy. And that ocean of joy keeps on increasing. We begin to, our enjoyment continues to grow. Vardhanam. Vardhanam means increase, grow. And pratipadam, at every step, purnamrita shadanam, at every step we experience total bliss. So that is what Krishna consciousness is. Now again, to go back to Uddhav Gita, Krishna actually makes a very nice point. He is saying that this material nature is a place of suffering. Three modes are simply causing suffering, especially mode of passion and ignorance. Passion makes us active to enjoy, and ignorance causes total loss of consciousness. Like, that is what happens due to the influence of the passion and ignorance. Passion and ignorance cycle in this way. In the morning we wake up and we begin to become active. And throughout the day we work so hard. And then at night we fall asleep in ignorance. In passion we become active, and those activities in passion are simply motivated by trying to enjoy this material nature, and then we slide down to ignorance at night. Then in the morning we wake up and again we become active in the mode of passion. Throughout the day we work, and then at night we fall asleep in ignorance. But mode of goodness takes us out of the cycle of passion and ignorance. Goodness actually makes us realize what real knowledge is. Goodness gives us knowledge. And we begin to see the real nature of this material nature. And then we transcend the mode of goodness. But that will be possible only when we come across a Vaishnava devotee, only when we come across a bona fide spiritual master. Jai Krishna Tattvavetta, Shai Guru Hai. The one who knows Krishna, and he provides us with all the information about Krishna, provides us all the information about that reality, provides us with all the information about our real identity. And then our good fortune begins. So, mode of goodness in the material nature is not the solution. The real solution is to get out of the material nature, and that will happen only when we receive the mercy of a bona fide spiritual master. Jai Krishna Tattvetta Shai Guru. Rupa Goswami in his teaching, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his teachings to Rupa Goswami is explaining that situation. Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Vij. While traveling in this material nature, Brahmanda Brahmite, in this material universe, Brahmanda, Kono Bhagyavan Jeev, some fortunate soul, by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai, Bhakti Lata Bij, receives the seed of devotional kripa. So when he gets that seed, he naturally have to take advantage of the seed. How does he take advantage? By planting the seed in the soil of the heart, the field of the heart. So that is where we plant the seed of Bhakti Lata. Now we have to see that the field is properly prepared. If the field is not fertile, if the field is rocky, the field is devoid of water, this seed will not fructify. Therefore, we have to prepare the field of the heart. You have to, fertile field means soft heart. Heart becomes softened with faith. Shraddha. Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kahe, Shudrira Nishchay, Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Krita Hai. Shraddha or faith emphatically points out that if you serve Krishna, then everything will be done. Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Krita Hai. Now that is an important thing. We have to have the faith. And if we have the faith, then the soil, the field of our heart will become prepared. And then when you plant the seed of Bhakti Lata, it will sprout. And when the seed of Bhakti Lata sprouts, two leaves come out at first. Those two leaves are Kleshagni and Shubhada. Cessation of all suffering condition. Yes, that's what devotional service does. When the Bhakti Lata becomes fructified, becomes a seedling, the seedling has two leaves. One of the leaves is Kleshagni. Klesha means suffering. Gna means destroy. All the suffering conditions are destroyed. And Shubhada. Shubha means auspiciousness and Da means gives. It gives all auspiciousness to our life. And now the devotional kripa has to be watered. Just planting the seed is not enough. It has to be watered. What is watering of the seed? Shravanam and Kirtanam. Hearing about Krishna's glory, hearing about Krishna's pastimes, hearing about Krishna's instructions, Shravanam, and speaking about Krishna's glory, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's teachings. Now there is another problem here. Like when the field is fertile and Bhakti Lata is about to grow, then there is a possibility that the weeds will stifle the growth, stifle the Bhakti Lata. Now, in this respect also, there is one example is given about paddy, rice paddy. Those who know about how to cultivate rice, you may have seen that the rice fields are covered completely with water. Now, when the field is covered with water, then the paddy grows out of water and all the weeds cannot grow. So that is the thing. We have to cover the field with hearing and chanting. Constant hearing and chanting. Then the weeds will not be able to grow, but the bhakti lata will begin to grow. And as the bhakti lata grows, it penetrates through the 7 coverings of the material nature. Actually 8 covering. The 8th covering is the covering of Maya. And then beyond that is Brahma Jyoti, which is also compared to causal ocean or Viraja river. Viraja Brahmalok Bhedi, penetrating even Viraja river. The causal ocean, Brahma Jyoti, it comes to Vaikuntha. And it grows even beyond Vaikuntha and comes to Golok. And in Golok, it gets the shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. A creeper needs a shelter to grow. When the creeper gets a shelter to hold on to, then it becomes steady. So Bhakti Lata will grow and grow all the way to Golok, Vrindavan, and there, taking the shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, the Bhakti Lata will become secured. And then there'll be this, the Bhakti Lata will start to flower and fruit. And that flower is the Bhava Bhakti and fruit is the Prema Bhakti. Develop our love for Krishna. So this process has been given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has been given following Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada, and we got it. And it's spreading all over the world. People are getting an opportunity to make their life successful. And how the life becomes successful when the consciousness becomes fixed at Krishna's lotus feet. Then we wake up from this dream. This material nature is a dream state. Dream state. Like we spoke about individual dream. At night when sleep, we dream. But this material experience of this material nature is also a dream. This dream is created by Krishna's illusory energy. And in this dream, we are trying to enjoy. In this dream, sometimes we are happy, sometimes we are sad. Sometimes we are excited, sometimes we are depressed. So this is happening. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. All these are happening due to our past karma and the modes of material nature. This individual dream we experience singularly, individually, but this is a collective dream. Whoever is here, he is in this dream, collective dream. And this dream is real. This dream is real because it is arranged by Krishna. Because it's Krishna's illusory energy, therefore it is real. Anything that comes from Krishna is real. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. Because it's coming from Krishna, it is perfect and complete. And it is real. But that also has been explained how it is real. It is not real as real reality. It is real as a reflected reality. Like on a pool of water, there's a reflection of a tree. And the reflection is there of the tree. But if we're hungry, and if we try to pick the fruit from the tree, we won't be able to, and quench or satisfy our hunger. Because it gives the impression, but it's not there. But because the reflection of the tree is there, therefore, in reality, the substance is also there. The real tree is there. Because in the real tree, there are fruits, there are flowers, there are leaves. That's why we are seeing the reflection, in the reflection, the fruits and flowers and trees and leaves. And in that tree, there are real fruits. If you're hungry, we can pick the fruits from there and eat. If we want, we can pick the flowers and offer them to Krishna. So that is what the spiritual reality is. And Krishna is instructing Uddhav that when we become situated in the spiritual reality, then these dreams disappear. Just as when we wake up from a dream, the dream becomes totally insignificant, unimportant. Similarly, when you wake up in the spiritual reality, all these material experiences appear to be totally insignificant. But because we are dreaming, they appear to be so important. Yes, I want to have a lot of money. I want to have a beautiful house. I want to have a very loving and caring family. I want to have a lot of success in my life. But when we wake up in the spiritual reality, all of these things become totally insignificant. And that is where we need to wake up. And there is a way to wake up, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, Jeev Jago, Gora Chand Gole. Gora Chand, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling, O sleeping souls, wake up, wake up. Gora Chand Gole. Koto nidra jao maya pishachi rakole. For how long you are going to sleep on the lap of Maya, who is a pishachi, who is a witch, who sucks your blood. Yes, that's what Maya is doing, making us work so hard and turning our blood into water. That is what Maya is doing, make us work so hard. But he's saying, for how long you're going to sleep on the lap of Maya. So just follow the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Enechi Oshodi Maya Nashi Varalagi. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, I brought the medicine to destroy Maya. This medicine is going to free you from the illusory influence of Maya. Harinam Mahamantro Lahotumi Magi. Please come and take this Harinam Mahamantra, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And your life will become successful. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us the most perfect process. We are so fortunate. Actually, that's why Uddhav Gita is so important. Very systematically, Uddhav Gita, through 22 chapters, are giving us the perfect knowledge. Perfect knowledge. It's giving us the understanding of what this material nature is like and how to become free from the illusory influence of the material nature. And also, incidentally, I selected to discuss about Uddhav Gita because at that time, Uddhav was facing a very critical situation. Just as Arjuna was also feeling a very critical situation. He has to face this war where he'll have to kill his relatives, whom he loved so much. Bhishma, Drona. But Krishna forced him. Similarly, Uddhav was facing a situation when Krishna is going to withdraw his pastimes. Already, the Jadus have been cursed by the Brahmanas, the sages, very exalted sages, like Vishamitra, Durvasha, Narad, Vasishtha, others, Vishamitra. He cursed the Jadus. Jadus pranked with them. The Jadu boys. They dressed up Samba as a pregnant woman. And jokingly, they took him to the sages. The sages are known for knowing everything. They know Trikaladarshi. They know the three aspects of time, past, present, and future. And they asked, can you please tell us whether this lady is going to give birth to a boy or a girl? And the sages said, he'll give birth to an iron club. And that is going to be the cause of the destruction of your whole family. So they have already been cursed in this way. They knew that the family, the words of these sages are not going to go in vain. So Jadu family is going to be destroyed. And of course, it was Krishna's arrangement. Krishna brought them to assist him in his pastimes. And now that he is going to withdraw his pastimes, he is first sending them back. And Krishna told Uddhav that in 7 days, Dwarka is going to be submerged in the ocean. So just imagine the city where he lived for so many years is just going to disappear in the ocean. Krishna told all the Jadus, let's all go to Prabhash Tirtha. And they knew soon they're all going to be perished, meaning they're going to go back to the spiritual world. And Krishna told Uddhav, Uddhav actually asked Krishna that please let me also go with you. I know that you're going to withdraw your pastimes. But Krishna wanted Uddhav to stay on because there's some more work to be done. So he wanted Uddhav to stay on and become totally detached, become a sannyasi and travel, go to Badrikashram. In Badrikashram, Krishna didn't go, and the sages there had been waiting to have his darshan. So he sent Uddhav to instruct them. And in that situation, Krishna told Uddhav Gita. And also we can see the Uddhav Gita is so important. Prabhupada said Bhagavad Gita is a preliminary study. Srimad Bhagavatam is the advanced course. And the most important part of Srimad Bhagavatam is 10th canto, where Krishna's pastimes are described. And then in 11th canto, the wisdom of the spiritual reality. So systematically he actually explained. So that's why I selected Uddhav Gita at a time like this to discuss. And I'm sure many of you are participating in that class. And Uddhav Gita, I'm just giving an overview of Uddhav Gita, but you all have to probe into it, study carefully, and you will say, what a storehouse of wisdom this 22 chapters have. So please take advantage of this time that is forcing you to go deep within yourself. Now you're forced not to go out, therefore you have to go in. Study them, and you will see. Achieving perfection is so easy. Krishna made it so easy to achieve perfection, especially when we got the human form of life, especially when we have the opportunity to be born in the age of Kali, especially when we are born at a time when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and Prabhupada came and distributed Krishna consciousness all over the world. So you're getting such a wonderful opportunity to make the human form of life successful. Thank you all very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Does anybody have any question?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I see Gita Kirti Mataji having a question.
Yeah. Unmute Gita Kirti. Yeah. Okay, Gita Kirti.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the wonderful lecture. My question is, you mentioned when Bhakti Lada Bij sprouts, it gives a flower and fruit. The flower is Bhakti Bhava Bhakti, and fruit is Prema Bhakti. What is the difference between both, Guru Maharaj, and what must be
good?
asked?
Very good. Bhava Bhakti is experiencing the transcendental emotion of being in love with Krishna. That's, experiencing that emotion. And Prema Bhakti is experiencing the love. Right? And in one way you can say that in Prem, there is reciprocation. In emotional experience of love, the reciprocation may not be there. But when the reciprocation is there between the lover and beloved, then it becomes love. That's the difference between bhava and prema. Okay, does it answer your question, Gita Kirti?
In that sense, which one do we aspire for, Guru Maharaj?
In that
can we aspire for either of them?
Can we
aspire for either of these bhav?
It will happen. It will happen when that loving relationship develops. Then it gradually develops in that way. Shraddha ratir bhakti anukramishati. Kapil Dev is saying, Shraddha, faith, rati, attachment, and bhakti, loving devotion, anukramishati means gradually develop. It will start from Shraddha, and you know that, the gradual development, Ado Shraddha, Tatu Sadhu Sangha, to Bharjana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Ashakti, Bhav, and Prem.